Hello everyone, welcome back to Shady Movie Reviews, and today we're talking about the movie Fantasy Island. Alright, so a movie where anything is possible and a bunch of crazy stuff starts happening and people start dying one by one? Yeah, sure, why not? Cue the intro. Alright, so let's just dive right into the plot of this film. So in this movie, we follow a group of people that go to Fantasy Island, and each person gets to live out one fantasy they've always had, except everyone's fantasy turns against them for the worst. And as the story unfolds, we learn that these randomly selected contest winners might actually have more in common than they thought. But now with everyone trapped on the island, they're forced to find a way to escape, otherwise, they're all gonna die. Alright, so on to my positives and what I liked about the film. Alright, so one thing that I really loved about this movie was the color palette. The color palette in this movie was extremely bright, colorful, vibrant, and the best way I can explain it, it was like candy for your eyes. It was a different take on a horror film. I like the fact that we're actually starting to see some people jump out the ship of the stereotypical horror movie, and I appreciate that. But the other positive, this movie was not at all what it was advertised. Whatsoever. Not at all. It fails at being a horror movie in every sense of the word. It was horrible as a horror movie. But does that mean that it was a horrible movie? No. It was actually a pretty good movie. But I feel that it was misgenrecized, if that's a word. This movie is definitely not a horror movie. It is more classified as a adventure fantasy with a light thriller, and I want to use the word thriller very, very lightly. The best way I can explain it, this movie is very similar to like Journey to the Center of the Earth. Let's just sum it up to good movie, wrong genre. Alright, so on my negatives and what I disliked about the film. Alright, so one thing that I really disliked about this movie was the antagonist. Now, I don't care if I'm watching a horror movie, an action movie, a rom-com, a freaking documentary. I don't care. But I need to have a good antagonist. The antagonist in this movie was so non-intimidating, non-threatening, weak, and just he didn't even feel like a bad guy. He was just there. And it really ruined that part of the movie. If you don't have a good antagonist, then you don't really have a movie. And then the only other thing that really bugged me about this movie, the acting was okay. Don't get me wrong, but there were a few scenes in this movie where I felt like the actors and actresses were just trying way too hard to push emotions that just weren't there. They still had some solid acting for this type of movie. It wasn't god-awful. I've seen some god-awful acting, and I feel like overall the acting was okay. Alright. On my judgment and movie score, time to bust out the Shady meter. Alright, so for the plot of this movie, guys, I'm going to have to give this movie a solid 8.1 out of 10. That's because I feel like this movie had a really solid idea. It had a good atmosphere. It was really colorful, bright. It was a different take on a horror movie. And then for the script, guys, I'm going to have to give this movie a solid 7.8 out of 10. That's because script was It was okay. It was good. I gave it an above average score because, once again, the premise was really nice, where they were taking the movie. Some of the choices they made in the movie I disagree with, and how they took it. They could have took it a billion different ways, but hey, I'm just a random guy on YouTube, so who cares what I say. And then for the acting, guys, I'm going to have to give this movie a solid 7.9 out of 10. That's because the acting definitely, in my opinion, was the low end of the spectrum on the movie. It just, like I said, it had some fallouts. It had some bad points of just forcing emotions and just unrealistic scenes that I just particularly didn't like and took me out of the movie. And then for the structure and pacing, guys, I'm going to have to give this movie a solid 8 out of 10. So I was a little worried that it was going to drag, but it didn't drag. It actually did a really good job getting point A to point B without having too many slow points. It had an objective, it got from that objective to the end game. That was actually done pretty well in my opinion. And then for my overall score, guys, I'm going to have to give Fantasy Island a solid 8.3 out of 10. So according to Shady Movie Reviews, this movie is lightly shaded. So, Fantasy Island, have you guys seen it? Have you guys not? Jump down in the comment section. Let's start a conversation. Remember, like, subscribe. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.